Daniel Mercer had always felt like an outsider. On Zerathia, a planet ruled by the Valyrians, humans were rare and often treated with suspicion. Their tall, graceful bodies and pale skin drew attention wherever they went. But it was not admiration, more like curiosity, mixed with judgment. Daniel, a widower in his mid-30s, had learned to keep his head down, focusing on the one person who mattered most to him now, his daughter, Leah. Leah was 7 years old, with wide brown eyes and a laugh that could light up a room. She loved to explore, read, and ask endless questions about the stars. Daniel adored her. But he felt the weight of his own limitations pressing down on him. Raising a child alone on an alien planet was not easy. Valyrian society was strict, with rules about family, partnerships, and social conduct. Humans did not belong to this system. People whispered about him in the markets, in the public squares, and sometimes even behind his back in the colony council. Daniel's home was small, a modest 2-room dwelling near the edge of the city. It had a tiny garden where he tried to grow Terran vegetables. Though the alien soil never cooperated, he had a worn-out dining table, a few chairs, and walls decorated with pictures of Leah's favorite moments: the first time she learned to ride a bike, the first time she caught a butterfly, and the rare times when Daniel managed to smile without worry. Today, Daniel was on his way to the colony market, holding Leah's hand as she skipped beside him. The market was alive with color and sound. Alien merchants shouted about their wares, and humans were a rare sight. Leah's eyes sparkled as she looked at glowing fruits, strange fabrics, and tools that seemed impossible to operate. Daniel kept a careful watch, knowing she could get lost in the crowd in a heartbeat. "Papa," Leah said, tugging at his sleeve. "Can we get something special today? Something magical?" Daniel smiled, brushing a lock of hair from her face. "We'll see, Leah. But remember, we only take what we need." They wandered through stalls, sampling fruits with unfamiliar tastes, touching fabrics that shimmered like liquid. Leah's laughter made Daniel's chest ache with love and sorrow. He wished he could give her everything, but money was tight, and humans rarely had opportunities on Zerathia. Then they came across a stall unlike any other. 3 alien women stood behind a counter, each from a different star system, each more beautiful and exotic than anything Daniel had ever seen. The first was tall and elegant, her silver hair flowing like liquid metal. Her eyes glowed softly, and she moved with the precision of a trained warrior. The second was shorter, warm and maternal, with soft golden skin and a gentle smile that made Daniel feel calm. The third was playful, mischievous, with striking teal markings on her face and a glint in her eyes that promised mischief and cleverness. "Good day, traveler," the silver-haired woman said in perfect common, the universal language of the colony. "Are you looking for a companion? Someone to help you in your household?" Daniel froze. His mind raced. Companion? He knew what that meant. In Zerathia, it was common for wealthy individuals to purchase assistants or even partners from other planets. But he was not wealthy, and he was not interested in romance, at least not in the way the society expected. He was thinking about Leah. His daughter needed care, guidance, and love. A mother figure. He had spent countless sleepless nights imagining a warm, caring presence in their home, someone who could teach Leah things he could not. The golden-skinned woman smiled softly. "We are here to help families. Each of us has unique skills: healing, teaching, and technology. You may choose 1, 2, or even all 3. Leah tugged at his hand, her eyes wide with wonder. "Papa, can we?" Daniel took a deep breath. The whispers of judgment, the fear of social scorn, the strangeness of the idea, they all pressed on him. But when he looked at Leah, he saw hope, curiosity, and the possibility of a better life. His mind made the decision before his heart could hesitate. "I'll take all 3, he said quietly. The words felt strange in his mouth. The women exchanged glances, smiling faintly. "Very well." the silver-haired one said. "We will accompany you to your home and begin immediately." The walk back was tense. Daniel kept thinking about what the neighbors would say, about the council, about the rumors that would surely spread, but he held Leah's hand tightly, feeling her small fingers wrap around his. He also felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could make this work. When they arrived home, the three women began to unpack their supplies. Kayla, the silver-haired one, inspected the dwelling with precision, arranging tools and tidying spaces. Ciora, the golden-skinned one, sat with Leah, teaching her about nutrition and manners, her voice soft and encouraging. Rinna, the teal-marked one, explored every corner with gleeful curiosity, pulling out strange gadgets and explaining their functions. Daniel watched in amazement. The women moved with ease and competence, and Leah's eyes shone with excitement. For the first time in months, Daniel felt a glimmer of relief. The house felt lighter, warmer, alive. Even so, doubts nagged at him. How would the Valyrians react? How would his human neighbors judge him? Could this really work? Could three alien women truly integrate into a human household and care for a human child? The first evening passed quietly. Daniel prepared a simple dinner, while Ciora guided Leah through a small cooking lesson. Kayla cleaned and organized, and Rinna tinkered with gadgets, making Leah laugh with clever tricks. For a brief moment, Daniel allowed himself to imagine a future where their unusual family was accepted, where Leah could grow up surrounded by love and knowledge, unbound by prejudice. That night, as he tucked Leah into bed, she whispered, "Papa." Daniel kissed her forehead. "I hope so, Leah. I truly hope so." He stayed awake long after Leah fell asleep, listening to the soft hum of the household. The three women were talking quietly in the next room, their voices blending into a melody of cooperation and curiosity. Daniel knew challenges lay ahead. The council would notice, neighbors would gossip, and life on Zarathia would not be easy for them. But he also knew that he had made the right choice. Humanity had taught him courage, empathy, and determination. And now, he hoped, it could teach others, alien and human alike, that love, care, and family were not defined by race, species, or tradition. The next morning, the real work began. Leah was eager to learn. Kayla had plans for home security and organization. Ciora had lessons in language and culture, and Rinna had experiments and games ready to challenge the mind. Daniel watched them, feeling a mixture of awe, fear, and hope. As the sun rose over Zarathia, casting golden light across the alien city, Daniel understood one truth clearly. The path he had chosen would be difficult, full of scrutiny and doubt, but it was also a path filled with opportunity for Leah, for the household, and for the society that might one day witness the power of humanity in its purest form. He glanced at Leah, who was laughing as she tried to copy a complicated alien greeting taught by Ciora. Daniel smiled. No one else could see it yet, but he could feel it, the small, unstoppable seed of change. Humanity was not meant to be quiet, unnoticed, or powerless. And in this little home, on this distant planet, it was already beginning to shine. The day stretched ahead with chores, lessons, and tentative explorations of life together. Daniel knew obstacles awaited, but he also knew that they had taken the first bold step. For Leah, for himself, and for the chance to prove that humans, though outsiders, could bring warmth, ingenuity, and heart to even the most rigid of worlds. And somewhere, deep inside, Daniel felt something he had not felt in years. A quiet, stubborn hope that this unusual family could not only survive, but thrive, against all odds. Life in Daniel's household began to settle into a strange rhythm, unlike anything either he or Leah had ever experienced. The three alien women, Kayla, Ciora, and Rinna, were each adjusting to their new environment in their own ways, and so was Daniel. Every day brought surprises, lessons, and small challenges that tested patience, cooperation, and trust. Kayla, the silver-haired woman, treated the home like a fortress. She cleaned meticulously, repaired broken appliances, and designed schedules that were precise to the minute. Her discipline sometimes clashed with Daniel's casual human habits. One morning, Daniel left a half-eaten breakfast on the counter, and Kayla gave him a sharp look. "Daniel," she said, "if you do not clear your dishes immediately, it will attract pests. Zarathian insects are persistent and dangerous." Daniel rubbed the back of his neck, sheepish. I forgot. Kayla. I'll take care of it." Kayla nodded once, then returned to her work. Though her tone was strict, Daniel noticed she was careful with Leah. She patiently helped the girl with her reading exercises, correcting pronunciation without scolding. Leah grew fond of Kayla, though she often giggled at the woman's seriousness. Ciora, the golden-skinned woman, was the opposite. She radiated warmth and calm. She cooked meals infused with flavors from her home planet, teaching Leah to measure spices, stir gently, and pay attention to detail. But Ciora also focused on lessons of empathy, manners, and understanding. She encouraged Leah to speak to neighbors, care for animals, and think about the feelings of others. Rinna, the teal-marked trickster, was the most unpredictable. She tinkered with gadgets, tested experimental tools, and invented games that often ended in chaos. Leah loved Rinna, following her from room to room, learning about mechanics, technology, and creative problem-solving. Daniel sometimes groaned at the mess, but he could not help smiling at his daughter's excitement. The first major challenge arose when Daniel took Leah to the local school. Humans rarely attended Zarathian schools, and the teachers eyed him with suspicion. Whispers followed him as he walked through the halls with the three women trailing behind. Some students stared openly, pointing fingers. Others hid behind desks, whispering rumors. "Papa, why are they staring at us?" Leah asked, tugging at his sleeve. Daniel squeezed her hand. "Because we are different," he said carefully. "But being different is not bad. It just means we have to be brave and patient." The three women noticed the stares too. Kayla maintained a composed expression. Ciora offered gentle smiles, and Rinna made playful faces to distract Leah from the attention. Their presence sent a message. They were part of this family, and nothing would shake that. At home, life continued with small victories and minor disasters. Kayla established a cleaning routine and taught Leah how to organize her room. Ciora set up lessons in language, science, and ethics. Rinna built small robots and mechanical devices with Leah, sometimes causing sparks and minor explosions, much to Daniel's alarm. But through every challenge, Leah laughed, learned, and grew. Neighbors began to notice the unusual household. At first, they whispered, curious and judgmental. "A human raising a child with 3 alien women?" they said. "What will the council say?" Daniel tried to ignore the gossip, but the first confrontation was inevitable. One evening, a Valyrian neighbor, tall and austere, knocked on his door. "Daniel Mercer," she said, her voice cold. "You know the council has rules about human-alien households. 3 alien women living here. This is unusual." Daniel took a deep breath. "I am aware of the rules," he said carefully. "But my daughter needs care. I am providing a home for her. They are not here for wealth or social status. They are here to help my child grow. That is all that matters." The neighbor stared for a moment, as if measuring the truth in his words. Then she left, muttering under her breath. Daniel knew the gossip would spread faster than fire. But he also felt a quiet pride. He had defended his choices without fear. Days turned into weeks. The household became a mix of chaos and harmony. Kayla enforced rules and safety measures. Ciora nurtured growth and understanding. And Rinna brought joy, curiosity, and ingenuity. Leah thrived in this environment. She learned to read, write, and cook. She learned basic engineering from Rinna, healing techniques from Kayla, and etiquette and diplomacy from Ciora. One afternoon, Leah asked a question that made Daniel pause. "Papa, why do people stare at us?" Why don't they like that we are together? Daniel knelt to her level. Some people are afraid of what they do not understand, he explained. They think only their way is right. But being human has taught me that what matters is love, care, and courage. If we show them that, they will slowly learn. One day, they might even admire us. Leah nodded, her face serious for a moment, before skipping off to show Rinna a new invention she had created. Daniel watched her go, feeling both pride and concern. The world outside was not always kind, but at least inside their home, she was safe, loved, and learning. The next test came in the form of a local festival. Zerathia celebrated the Festival of Stars, where families displayed skills, knowledge, and accomplishments. Daniel wanted to take part, despite the whispers he knew would follow. He spent weeks preparing. Kayla helped organize a demonstration of defensive strategies and home safety. Ciora taught Leah and Daniel ceremonial practices and etiquette. Rinna built small devices that lit up the displays and impressed viewers with clever designs. On the day of the festival, they arrived to a mix of stares, murmurs, and curious glances. The council members were present, scrutinizing the human family and their alien companions. But as the demonstration began, something unexpected happened. Leah performed flawlessly under Ciora's guidance, reciting speeches and demonstrating manners. Kayla demonstrated safety procedures, impressing even the strictest council members. Rinna's inventions lit up the display, delighting children and adults alike. Daniel watched with amazement. The crowd's judgmental faces slowly shifted to curiosity. Then, to respect. A council member approached him after the festival. "Daniel Mercer," she said carefully. "Your household, it is unconventional. But the results are remarkable. Leah has grown in ways that few Valyrian children do, and your companions, they have skills that benefit the community." Daniel nodded, trying not to let relief show too much. "Thank you," he said simply. "My priority is my daughter. Everything else comes after." Life returned to its unusual rhythm. Challenges remained. Whispers, societal scrutiny, and minor conflicts within the household. Kayla sometimes scolded Daniel for leaving tools in the wrong place. Ciora occasionally clashed with Rinna over methods, and Rinna delighted in teasing them all. But despite small conflicts, the family's bonds strengthened. One evening, as the three women sat together teaching Leah new skills, Daniel reflected on the journey so far. He realized that humans, though outsiders, brought unique strengths to the galaxy. Determination, empathy, creativity, and the ability to challenge traditions. These traits were now shaping not only his daughter but also the perceptions of the Valyrians around them. He knew challenges would grow. Gossip would not die down. The council might impose rules. But he also knew that their household had proven something essential. Love and care were not defined by race or tradition. They could thrive anywhere, against all odds. That night, Daniel tucked Leah into bed. She hugged all three women, whispering, "Good night, Mama Kayla, Mama Ciora, Mama Rinna." Daniel smiled, his heart full. The words were strange, unconventional, yet perfect in their innocence and truth. Leah did not care about rules or judgment. She cared about love, safety, and learning. And in that moment, Daniel realized something profound. Humanity's greatest power was not strength, weapons, or technology. It was love, compassion, and the courage to defy expectations. As the household settled into quiet, Daniel looked around. The house was a mixture of alien technology, human furniture, and the joyful chaos of learning. It was imperfect, unconventional, and beautiful. Tomorrow would bring more challenges. School, neighbors, and perhaps council scrutiny. But tonight, the home was at peace. The three women had integrated into the family, not as servants or outsiders, but as true partners in raising Leah. And Daniel felt a growing certainty that this path, difficult as it was the right one. Somewhere outside, Zerathia slept under its twin moons, indifferent to the unusual household at the edge of the city. But Daniel knew that slowly, quietly, change was taking root. One day, the Valyrians might look at humans and see not outsiders, but examples of courage, love, and ingenuity. Until then, he would continue to protect his daughter, nurture her growth, and support the three women who had become the pillars of their little world. Together, they were unconventional, they were brave, and they were unstoppable. And in that knowledge, Daniel found the strength to face the challenges that tomorrow would inevitably bring. Life had grown routine in Daniel's household, but Zerathia was never quiet for long. Rumors about the human man living with three alien women had spread across the city, and while some were curious, others were hostile. Daniel had grown accustomed to whispers in the market and disapproving glances. But he knew a larger challenge was coming. It began on a quiet morning. Daniel was preparing breakfast when the first warning arrived. One of the neighbor children ran into the house, breathless. "Papa, Papa, there's something at the research facility. It's out of control." Daniel froze. The research facility was a large complex on the outskirts of the city where scientists studied local fauna and energy sources. Malfunctions were rare, but when they happened, they could be dangerous. Daniel's instincts kicked in. He called Leah to stay inside and quickly gathered the three women. Kayla's eyes narrowed. "We need a plan," she said. Voice calm but firm, she quickly assessed their supplies: first aid kits, portable shields, communication devices, and a few experimental tools Rinna had brought home. "We move carefully. Leah stays safe. We protect the city." Siora placed a hand on Leah's shoulder. "You will remain inside, my darling. We will handle this." Leah nodded, though her small hands clenched tightly on the edge of the table. Rinna, grinning mischievously, picked up a device that looked like a small drone. "Let's go make some trouble for whatever's out there," she said, her voice a mix of excitement and daring. Daniel led the team to the edge of the city. From a distance, smoke and sparks rose from the research facility. Alien fauna that had been kept for study had escaped due to a containment failure. The creatures were large, quadrupedal, with glowing eyes and metallic scales. They moved quickly, frightened, and confused, and a few had begun to head toward the city itself. Kayla quickly took command. "We need to contain them, not harm them. Use barriers and coordination. Follow my lead." Siora knelt beside a small creature that had become trapped in debris. "It's scared," she said softly. "We need to calm it before it panics." She extended a hand, and the creature hesitated, then allowed her to touch it. Kayla moved with precision, setting up force fields and guiding the other creatures back toward the containment area. Rinna zipped around, using her gadgets to block escape routes and distract the more aggressive animals. Daniel felt a surge of awe. The three women worked seamlessly together, each complementing the other's skills. Leah would have been proud, he thought. Their teamwork was flawless. Even under pressure, the crowd of Valyrian onlookers had gathered at a safe distance. Council members arrived in hovercrafts, eyes wide at the scene. They expected chaos, perhaps a disaster, but what they saw instead was order, intelligence, and courage. Kayla barked commands. "Daniel, activate the backup energy shield." Daniel complied, quickly following her instructions. Siora calmed the creatures with gentle words and gestures. Rinna, laughing, darted between sparks and smoke, her gadgets guiding panicked creatures into safety zones. The situation was tense, but slowly, the creatures were contained. One of the larger animals lunged toward the crowd. Kayla intercepted, placing herself between it and the spectators, her movements precise and controlled. She did not harm it. Instead, she guided it with force fields into a temporary enclosure. Finally, after what felt like hours, but was only minutes, the facility was secure. The creatures were back under containment, the fires extinguished, and the risk to the city eliminated. The council members approached, faces a mixture of awe and disbelief. "Daniel Mercer," one of them said, voice steady. Your household. It has prevented a disaster. The creatures could have caused massive damage. Your companions. They acted with precision, courage, and intelligence. Daniel felt a flush of pride, mixed with relief. Thank you, he said simply. We did what we could. Leah's safety and the city's safety came first. That is all that matters. The council murmured among themselves, but their tone had shifted. Where there had been suspicion, there was now respect. Where there had been judgment, there was now admiration. Back at home, the three women and Daniel debriefed. Leah ran into the room, excitement shining in her eyes. You did it! You saved everyone! She exclaimed. Ciora smiled, brushing a lock of hair from Leah's forehead. Yes, darling. But you must remember, courage comes in many forms. Today, we acted together, each using our strengths, Kayla added, and discipline, planning, and calm thinking are just as important as bravery. Rinna, ever playful, held up her gadgets. And a little fun and creativity never hurts. Leah giggled, throwing herself into Rinna's arms. Daniel watched, feeling an overwhelming sense of gratitude. These women were more than companions. They were family. The following days were filled with praise and curiosity. Reports of their actions at the facility spread throughout Zerathia. Other families came to see them, Valyrians and humans alike, eager to understand how a human man and 3 alien women had achieved what the city's finest teams might have failed to do. But not all attention was positive. Some council members questioned the human's role in the incident. He is not Valyrian, they argued. He has no right to dictate the actions of aliens, or even lead in an emergency. We must reconsider his household. Daniel met these challenges with the same calm he had used during the crisis. I do not claim to be better than any Valyrian, he said at a council meeting, but in this household, we work together. Strength is not measured by race or tradition, but by the willingness to act with courage, care, and intelligence. Today, we saved lives. Tomorrow, we will continue to protect our families and our city. The council members looked at one another, some nodding reluctantly. They could not deny the results. Humanity had proven, yet again, that determination, creativity, and empathy were powerful tools. Even in a world that had once dismissed them, at home, life returned to its unusual rhythm. Kayla established new safety protocols for emergencies. Ciora taught Leah first aid and problem solving. Rinna designed training exercises that combined fun with skill building. Daniel marveled at how the household had grown, not just in competence, but in unity. One evening, as they watched the twin moons rise over Zerathia, Leah asked, Papa, do you think people will ever stop judging us? Daniel took a deep breath, thinking carefully. Some people may never change, he said gently, but what matters is that we do the right thing, no matter what. Our actions speak louder than their words. And someday, I believe, they will see that humans and anyone willing to care and act can make a difference. Kayla, Ciora, and Rinna nodded silently, each lost in their own thoughts. Daniel could see the pride in their eyes, the recognition that together they had done something remarkable. Leah leaned against him, her small body warm and trusting. The crisis at the research facility had done more than save lives. It had proven to the city and to themselves that this unconventional family was capable, resourceful, and courageous. They were not bound by tradition, and they were not limited by prejudice. In the days that followed, neighbors approached with curiosity rather than suspicion. Children played with Leah and Rinna's gadgets. Adults asked Kayla and Ciora for advice on household management and education. Even the council began to soften, recognizing that the human and his companions could contribute meaningfully to the community. Yet Daniel knew challenges were far from over. There would always be those who judged, who whispered, who refused to accept that a human could lead, guide, and care for others. But he also knew that the strength of love, empathy, and human determination could slowly, steadily change minds. At night, Daniel sat quietly in his chair, watching Leah sleep under the gentle care of the three women. Kayla adjusted the protective wards in the room. Siora hummed a soft tune that drifted through the air, and Rinna tinkered quietly with a small invention. Daniel felt a deep sense of gratitude. This household, unconventional, chaotic, but full of love, was a living proof of humanity's potential. He whispered to himself, "We will keep going. We will face whatever comes next. And we will show the galaxy what humans can do." Outside, the city slept under the twin moons, unaware of the quiet revolution taking place at the edge of the city. In a small, modest home, a human man, his daughter, and three alien women had shown that courage, intelligence, and love could overcome fear, prejudice, and danger. And in that knowledge, Daniel felt an unshakable certainty. Humanity, though far from home and few in number, could shine brighter than even the most rigid societies had ever imagined. After the crisis at the research facility, life in Daniel Mercer's household took on a new rhythm. One defined not only by care and learning but also by a quiet recognition from the city around them. The whispers that had once followed them everywhere began to shift. People no longer spoke, only in suspicion. They spoke in curiosity, admiration, and sometimes even respect. Leah woke early one morning, sunlight spilling through the windows of their modest home. She rubbed her eyes and ran to the kitchen, where Siora was preparing breakfast. Kayla was checking security systems and recalibrating defensive wards, while Rinna tinkered with a new invention, giggling to herself. Daniel sat at the table, sipping his morning tea, feeling the comfort of a home alive with movement, purpose, and warmth. "Papa, come see," Leah called, her eyes bright. "Rinna made a flying robot that can carry small things. Watch it go." Daniel set down his cup and joined them. The small machine whirred to life, hovering above the table as Leah clapped her hands in delight. Rinna's laughter rang through the kitchen, and even Kayla allowed herself a small smile. Siora's gentle chuckle completed the sound of a household at peace. Though the home felt calm, the city outside was slowly changing too. Valyrians, who had once judged Daniel and his companions, now approached with cautious respect. Parents asked for advice on teaching, healthcare, and problem-solving. Children followed Leah around, eager to play, learn, and explore. Council members visited, some quietly observing, others openly acknowledging the contributions of this unusual family. One afternoon, the council called Daniel to a formal meeting. He felt a mix of apprehension and curiosity. Accompanied by Kayla, Siora, and Rinna, he entered the council chamber. The members seated themselves with an air of formality, but their expressions were less harsh than before. "Daniel Mercer," one council elder began, "your household has become a point of interest in our city. Your actions during the crisis have proven remarkable. The council has discussed your case extensively." Daniel nodded, listening carefully. "I am grateful for your attention," he said simply. "I am not here to seek praise. I care for my daughter, and I care for this community. That is all that matters." Another elder spoke. "It is clear that your household functions effectively. Your companions demonstrate skills that are valuable to Zerathia. Your daughter, Leah, has thrived under their guidance. The council recognizes this. Therefore, we formally acknowledge your household as a legal family unit on Zerathia." The words stunned Daniel. He had expected criticism, perhaps a fine, or even threats of separation. Instead, the council had recognized the value of his choices, the strength of his family, and the contributions of his alien companions. Back at home, the news spread quickly. Leah leaped into Daniel's arms, shouting with joy. "Papa! We did it! They said we are a real family!" Siora hugged Leah tightly, her smile radiant. "Yes, darling. Today, the world sees the truth." Kayla, still composed, allowed herself a proud glance at Daniel. Rinna danced around, waving her arms. "Finally, they admit we're awesome." The recognition from the council did more than ease social pressures. It gave the family a sense of legitimacy and confidence. Daniel felt an unspoken pride. Humans were outsiders, yes, but they could prove their worth through action, intelligence, and care. And in doing so, they could change hearts and minds. Days turned into weeks. The household continued to flourish. Leah excelled in her studies, learning languages, sciences, and arts under the careful guidance of her three mothers. Kayla focused on discipline and safety, ensuring that every corner of their home was organized and secure. Ciora emphasized empathy, ethics, and culture, teaching Leah to understand the hearts of others. Rinna brought creativity, experimentation, and playful learning, encouraging Leah to explore and invent. The community, too, began to see the benefits of their household. Children learned to approach problems with curiosity. Adults asked for advice and guidance, and the city slowly began to embrace diversity in family structures. Daniel's home became a small center of knowledge, cooperation, and hope, a living example of how love, courage, and intelligence could bridge gaps between species and cultures. One evening, as the twin moons rose over Zerathia, Daniel and the three women sat outside with Leah between them. The air was cool, filled with the scent of alien flowers and the gentle hum of distant city life. Leah leaned against Ciora, her head resting on the woman's shoulder. Rinna adjusted a small drone that floated above them, and Kayla quietly observed the surroundings, always vigilant. "Papa," Leah said softly, looking at him, "do you think more people will be like us someday?" Daniel smiled, brushing her hair gently. "I hope so, Leah. People often fear what they do not understand, but when they see courage, kindness, and care in action, they can learn. One day, others might choose to be brave and open-minded too." Ciora nodded. "Change is slow, but it starts with small steps, and your family has taken many." Kayla added, "Strength comes from discipline, unity, and intelligence. But compassion and courage make it meaningful." Rinna grinned. "And a little fun never hurts. Never forget that, Leah." Leah giggled, hugging each of them in turn. Daniel watched, his heart swelling. These women had become more than companions. They were pillars of his family, mentors to his daughter, and partners in shaping a better future. The following months brought new opportunities. The council invited Daniel and his household to teach classes in problem-solving, safety, and cultural understanding. Leah became a symbol of the benefits of this unconventional family structure. Neighbors, once skeptical, sought advice and friendship. Slowly, Zerathia began to see that humans were not weak, reckless, or unworthy. They were resilient, inventive, and capable of profound love. One day, Daniel took Leah to the top of a hill overlooking the city. The twin moons hung low in the sky, casting silver light across the buildings. "Do you see the city, Leah?" he asked. "Yes, Papa," she said, her eyes wide. "This city, it once did not accept us. They doubted, they whispered, they judged. But look now. People have begun to change. They see that humans can bring courage, wisdom, and love to any world. And someday, when you grow up, you might do even more. Humanity is capable of incredible things, Leah. Never forget that." Leah hugged him tightly. "I won't, Papa. I'll make you proud." Daniel smiled, feeling the weight of his journey lift slightly. He had begun as an outsider, judged and doubted. He had faced social scrutiny, uncertainty, and the challenge of raising a child alone in a strange world. But through courage, determination, and the help of three extraordinary companions, he had created something remarkable. A family that defied prejudice and demonstrated the best of what humanity could offer. At home, the three women continued their work. Kayla trained Leah in defensive techniques and problem-solving. Ciora nurtured her understanding of emotion, ethics, and social interaction. And Rinna sparked creativity and joy. Daniel watched them, feeling an overwhelming sense of gratitude and pride. Their household was not just surviving, it was thriving. The city began to notice more subtle changes. Children played openly with human and alien peers. Schools incorporated lessons of cooperation and empathy. And even the council adopted more inclusive policies. One by one, the walls of prejudice began to crumble. Daniel's household had not only survived, they had led by example, showing that humans could bring change, strength, and love to alien worlds. One evening, as they all gathered for dinner, Leah raised her glass of alien fruit juice. "To our family," she said brightly. "To love, courage, and learning." Daniel smiled, lifting his own glass. "To family," he echoed. Kayla, Ciora, and Rinna raised theirs, their faces full of pride, warmth, and affection. In that small moment, Daniel understood something profound. Humanity's greatest strength was not in weapons, technology, or even intelligence alone. It was in love, compassion, courage, and the willingness to act for the well-being of others. And in that strength, humans could shine brighter than any world had imagined. As the twin moons cast their light across the city, Daniel felt a quiet certainty. The journey was not over. Challenges would come, society would continue to evolve, and life would never be simple. But they had proven something timeless. When humans stand with courage, empathy, and determination, even the impossible can be achieved. Leah laughed, chasing Rinna's flying robot across the garden. Kayla organized supplies with efficient precision, and Ciora tended the plants, humming softly. Daniel watched them, feeling peace and pride, unlike anything he had ever known. This was more than survival. It was a legacy. Humanity, through one small family on a distant planet, had left its mark. Love, courage, and ingenuity had prevailed, proving that even in a world that once rejected them, humans could inspire, protect, and transform. And as Daniel looked at his daughter and the 3 women who had become her mothers, he knew, with unwavering certainty, that this family, unconventional, extraordinary, and full of life, would continue to grow, thrive, and shine as a beacon of what humanity could achieve. No one had believed a human could lead, guide, and nurture in the heart of an alien society. Yet here they were, stronger, respected, and united. Daniel Mercer had proven the truth of a simple, powerful idea. Love knows no bounds. Courage transcends species. And humanity, in its best form, is unstoppable.